Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. I will be analyzing Twin Peaks The Return 2017 episode 8. Got a light? This is the point that officializes the revolutionary aspect of Twin Peaks yet again for a new generation. It revolutionized television back in the 90s, and now it's revolutionizing television all over again, because back in the 90s it inserted more interesting plot lines, not just for the monocell-brained human beings who were watching television at the time, but added another level so that more intelligent human beings can also access TV and enjoy it. Now it's stepping up the game. With episode 8, we are in art territory. This is where Lynch literally brings cinematographic art to television, which is incredible. It has never been done before to that extent. So thank you, Showtime, so much for giving this artist, this visionary artist team, duo of Lynch and Frost, the opportunity to express themselves, to give them that platform to deliver art to the world on a vast scale. This episode is the official episode that separates, the masses. It is literally like the separation of the waters, and we're walking through now. And on one side, we have the love, the passion, the appreciation for art, for beauty, for poetry. And on the other side, we have the masses that are going to be the ones that make the videos on YouTube, probably, and also write, texts online on blogs and stuff about, what does this mean? Oh my God, it's mind-blowing. Oh my God, boy, I've never seen anything like this before. Yes, you can say that if you're in awe of its beauty, of its poetry, of the harmony. But unfortunately, most of the people are going to say it for all the wrong reasons, and it's going to be like videos on, let me explain to you how this works, explanation of what does it all mean. Stop right there. You do not need to know what it all means. Just do this exercise. Accept the fact that you will be spending 1 hour time with David Lynch and Mark Frost. And consider that time as a void or a precipice in which you just fall into. Don't be scared, afraid and scared. Don't be scared of the fall, because you're safe. You're not going to hurt yourself. But let yourself just fall and enjoy that wind and the breeze rushing through your skin and your clothes and everywhere. Just keep falling, just like Alice in Wonderland. Just keep falling and you will land safe. But you need to give yourself that time to actually enjoy the fall. For those of you who think that I'm crazy for saying this, you could tune out, just stop watching the video. But for those of you who understand where I'm coming from, stick with me because it's going to be an incredible ride. An atomic explosion, the nuclear bomb, and in general, on an atomic level, if we're talking about what has been rumored to be, the beginning, the initiation of the lodge, of the lodges or of the Black Lodge, is actually relevant right now. We see something created for television that is on the level of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. We do have direct references. Lynch is even using same composers or the same composer that Stanley Kubrick used for some of his movies. And especially the atomic scene that travel through color and space and sound is very reminiscent of the Space Odyssey. And it gives us a genesis, it gives us an initiation, a beginning, a travel through an origin. And that alone that imagery alone is worth the effort to unplug yourselves from your mobile device, from your smartphones, from the internet, from everything. Just detach yourself from all the noise surrounding you and fall into the beauty and the poetry that David Lynch is depicting for us, whether it be analog, almost stop motion in some scenes and sequences, to high-tech CGI from 2016. All that combined creates such a beautiful, masterful art piece. It's cinematographic, it belongs in a museum, and yet we have been given the gift of something on a massive scale for everybody on TV, accessible to everyone. Incredible. Now we understand why the giant is not named the giant. I mean, he is, within him is the origin. He's way more than what we thought it was. And in that snippet that we have been given in the Blu-ray release of Twin Peaks a couple of years back, where David Lynch, between two worlds, sits and talks to Laura Palmer and Leland and Sarah. And Laura says, there's more to this mystery, guys. There is more to this mystery. Laura is at the core of Lynch's love and respect and just optimism for humanity. Her face is on this ball of hope, of light, of creation that gets sent to planet Earth. Beautiful, beautiful image. So full of hope, despite all the destruction, despite all the aggressivity, all the aggression, all of the pain, all of the blood, all of the hate. She's such a beacon of light and hope, and Lynch literally states it then and there. Every episode of Twin Peaks begins with kind of the face of Laura Palmer through the mist. And now we have her as this symbol that kind of descends to the world and delivers the good, It's actually perhaps even overpowering and overbearing because Lynch is pushing it to a degree where she's almost a sort of kind of messiah, And just like Jesus, she gets literally assassinated, killed, brutally killed, betrayed by somebody from her own family. She's crucified in Twin Peaks and in the 90s. Her death is like it's like being crucified. And even more so, we see her as this kind of almost biblical figure in episode 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return, because from these heavens, or maybe from the inferno, maybe this is all of this purple sea and all of this, what is underneath or above the Black Lodge, in another space and time and dimension, It's like where she comes from in a way. Her light stems from that. And it is then kissed and loved and kind of, almost as if a fairy godmother would bless her with the gift of love and would send her off to the world. Surrounded by all the hate and misery, there's that little beacon of light and hope descending to the world. And we know how it ended. We know that she gets crucified, I'm not talking literally. You have to kind of visualize it symbolically. And Lynch does see her as the savior. He wants us to believe in her. So perhaps the return, Twin Peaks: The Return, is not so much so Dale Cooper's return, but Laura's return. And again, this prophet, and the Messiah that kind of dies and then returns again. Who knows? Fact is, we have this symbolism of the three, the divine trilogy. I've been repeating this in other videos in the past, and it's like it's in loop. The three Coopers, we have these kind of what began as one, and then in the first two episodes, this black figure in the prison that kind of, like a spirit leaves. We didn't know what it was. Were we to ever get any answers? Well, yes, we got them now in this episode. Then we had another black kind of dirty spiritual figure appearing again in last week's episode, and now we have kind of three of them as Cooper is killed, and boy, was that unexpected. I screamed when it happened because I thought Ray was dead. But no, Ray was clever. He outsmarted Bob. There's something to be said about Ray for being so clever, such a survivor, so street smart. Shooting the long-haired Cooper, and then these was a very dark scene. I do believe they were three. They could have been more or less because there was a lot of overlayered images as well, fading one into the other. I think there were three of these black figures appearing, and then we have this sack with Bob's image. Frank Silva, may he rest in peace. What a beautiful, loving way from David Lynch to bring him back, to find ways to bring him back, oh so subtly in the mirror reflection of the long-haired Cooper in prison looking at himself in the mirror through slight CGI morphing, to a kind of more direct approach here, bringing him back as a visual of his kind of cramped face from within this dying, apparently dying, presumably dying, what relatively soon will turn out not to be dying, long-haired Cooper, and then again in this vision of this kind of genesis of the lodge, which kind of looks like the genesis of the lodge, with this creature which kind of barfs or vomits this liquid from which Bob stems in a way, and not just Bob, but everything we know that kind of is lurking underneath the surface of this facade, which is Twin Peaks, or which was Twin Peaks, which is what we thought for 25 years was just the small town of Twin Peaks, that made also many of you so unhappy because you thought the new Twin Peaks is so different from the old one. Well, that's because finally the new Twin Peaks is telling us what is really going down, what was going down back then, but we were not ready to see it yet, and what is going down now. And still, so many of us are not ready to see it. As, again, another parallelism to this kind of biblical approach to Twin Peaks, as we're not, as the people were not back then ready to embrace the Messiah, the arrival of the Messiah and the prophet. A lot of people are not ready for this new Twin Peaks. This just proves how avant-garde, how ahead of its time it is still today, which saddens me because I think humanity should be ready for this. People should be ready to embrace this, to understand this. Mind you, when I say understand it, just like Hawk, not necessarily here, but here. You have to spiritually and with emotion embrace it and understand it because it's so incredible. It's so nurturing and nourishing for the soul because it gives you, it almost educates you. It tells you there are other ways of approaching forms of expression. Literally, from a creator's point of view, from an artist's point of view, the viewer can approach an art piece from so many different points of view. We are so spoiled in today's day and age of getting these stupid, for imbeciles, plot lines delivered on a silver platter. And just to be sure the idiots out there understand, it also gets explained 50,000 times within the already silver platter framework. Well, wake up, people. You are not stupid. You are very intelligent. Develop further and dive into your emotional intelligence, which is extremely vital, necessary, and important, especially in the months and years to come, because we will be confronted with a lot of problems and difficulties and challenges that life will throw at us. And with each passing day, it's the emotional intelligence that will come more and more into play, and who will not possess that will perish. This sort of approach to artistry and art, and especially this sort of approach from a viewer's point of view towards an art piece, such as Twin Peaks in particular, episode 8, is an exercise and should be seen as such. You should understand it as an exercise, to exercise yourself to opening up to other forms of expression that might not appear so easily understandable in your way of thinking, but you got to change your way of thinking. You have to open up to other ways of thinking. And this emotional intelligence is something you need in order to grasp the poetry of Twin Peaks episode 8 in particular. All of Twin Peaks. But episode 8 is the one that actually takes off its mask, you know, like Laura in the first part of Twin Peaks 3, where she kind of like takes off the face, and then you see just light, and you cannot focus on anything because it's just light. So you see everything, but you think you see nothing. You know, it's almost like the myth of the cave, you know, when you're sitting in the cave looking at the wall of the cave, and all of a sudden you turn around to see the light, and the light is so strong it blinds you. But the eyes got to get used to that light. And then you start seeing figures and shapes and more colors within there. You get used to that light. So just like Laura took off that face, right now Twin Peaks, the series, took off its mask, and we are seeing the light. And yes, we're blinded because we weren't expecting it. We're not used to it. But we will get used to it. You got to give it time. You got to give yourself the time to fall into it. To just like that fall, you have the feeling it's a precipice. You know, the first second you just jump off that cliff. It's a fast fall, and it's scary. But don't worry, it's going to mellow down, and it's going to become a soft fall. And you're going to be like, you're going to feel amazing. And again, what shocks me the most of all of this, in a positive way, is that Showtime gave Lynch and Frost the opportunity to do this. Thank you so much, Showtime, because this gives me hope. This gives all artists out there hope that there is a channel somewhere out there that gives artists the opportunity to communicate to the world, you know, through a channel that kind of reaches as many people as possible. Yes, we also have the internet, but to be, you know, accepted on such a high level by a big company that also pushes you and promotes you, that's incredible. So thank you, you know, in the name of David Lynch and Mark Frost, seriously, and for all the artists out there that ever, you know, dreamed, but only thought it could only be a dream to reach such heights. You have given all of us hope. So thank you, Showtime. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like this. I don't know. This isn't a review. It's just just showing my appreciation for all of this. And I am in awe at how much beauty can be condensed, you know, in this beautiful format, which is a movie, film, video, series, TV show, call it whatever you want. It's art. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thumb up this video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Many questions remain unanswered, in particular the one of the half insect, half frog that crawls into the mouth of the young girl. I have a theory, but that remains for later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Take care.